What's happening, ladies and gentlemen? Big C coming at you, sending everyone a belated Happy New Year. This is my new baby, specifically my new primary paintball rifle, the Planet ECLIPSE EMF100. Now, of course, it doesn't come like this out of the box, but I can tell you I absolutely love this marker. Now, I've got to field this for the very first time on New Year's Eve, and then again today for about, I'd say, 4 or 5 hours. Now, as far as the performance of this rifle, this is like night and day. Night and day. In fact, let's start there. Now, before I purchased this, I found myself spending way too much time cleaning out barrels and cleaning out magazines and cleaning out just every orifice of my rifles, and especially not, being able to rapidly and reliably put shots on. Now, certainly a lot of things go into making paintball markers perform well, but some just perform well, period. And the EMF is a marker that just performs well, period. Now, I was actually considering the dye matrix at first. However, the dye is a bit more pricier than this. The dye is well up into the 1K price range just out of the box. Now, granted, I'm probably at $1,000 or so here with this as well. But the EMF is widely revered as one of the best mag-fed markers out there. Arguably, I'm sure. But up until now, I was either running a Valken M17 or the P4 VKS. Now, don't get me wrong. The Mil-Spec, Valken M17 is a staple within mag-fed paintball. Unbelievably affordable, highly modifiable, extremely easy to maintenance, built like a fucking tank. But it's also well known how frustrating it can be as a paintball marker because the Valken M17 can chop a lot of paint, which is very frustrating. Now, of course, if you follow the channel, you already know that the M17 makes for a very good defense building platform as well. I've showcased a few of my own M17 LTL builds. I've also got an M17 defense package available right now. You can hit my Gmail up if you're interested in that. Now, alternatively, the P4 VKS by Pepperball is marketed directly towards LEO and military sectors, right? And specifically designated for defense application, unlike the M17 or say the FSC and other various markers that we modify into defense options, which I suppose beckons the question, why then would I use a Pepperball VKS for paintball? So number one, nobody was doing it. At least to my knowledge, nobody was. Second, the VKS is quite literally the modern version of the Tiberius T4.1, which was a designated paintball sniper rifle. There's literally videos of that thing putting, consistent shots on at 300 feet upwards to 150 yards out. And trust me, the P4 is a chip off the old block. The factory barrel is purposely bore-sized and rifled to shoot VXR rounds, which are basically powder chemical marking dye filled FSRs. Law enforcement uses hard-tipped VXRs as well for shattering vehicle glass, etc., etc. So naturally, this performs extremely well as a DMR for gameplay as well. Built-in on and off ASA. Also, I have found this can function at those lower 450, 500 PSI outputs. And I know that because I was running this with a Ninja SLP tank. Now, obviously, this was designed off of the AR platform, so it feels a lot like an AR, except a lot of the AR platform furniture. In fact, my only gripe, damn near, with the VKS is its magazine. The VKS magazine really hasn't changed since the T4.1 design. You know, these still only come in 10 and 15 round magazines, and these 10 round mags are literally the size of my EMF 20 round mag, or even the M17 18 round hybrids, which is ridiculous. That's twice less capacity. Now, the reason for that is because these utilize a straight line feeding system. And then you have the 15 round mags here that are the size of a fucking 40 round P mag, for Christ's sake. Now, I have long contemplated, and recently it's even been proposed amongst the less lethal groups online, modifying these into a horseshoe, right? Channel feed, like so many of the other marker magazines utilize. But I think the reason this hasn't changed is because of the law enforcement designated application of this marker. You know, Pepperball figures if cops need to expend large volumes of chemical rounds, then that's what the hopper attachment is for. Hence the acronym VKS, Variable Kinetic System, where you can readily switch between, you know, your mag-fed VXRs and then your hopper-fed round projectile. So that's that. Now, don't get me wrong. I still play with the M17 as well. For example, this is my M17 DMR build. Okay, as you see, I run the Grizzin mags with a longer rifled barrel. Now, I find the M17 does very well at a conservative shot cadence, meaning when I'm placing pop shots in a distance or a sniper type role with FSRs, she is awesome. Now, try to run this in an assault role where I'm throwing shots out in bursts or with a consistent suppressive fire rate. It's likely going to be a chop fest. Now, to be fair, you know, with a little dedication, you can work out most of the bugs and the fuckery associated with the M17. And there's a couple of paintball content makers that are doing an excellent job with that. Honestly, I wish I would have ran into them a lot sooner. I would probably be running this still as a primary and maybe not even had the EMF. But when you do work the bugs out of the M17, this is a very fun and capable marker to play with. So, with all that, let's talk about the EMF. Now, again, this doesn't come like this. This is my gameplay assault loadout. As you see, I got a lot of shit on here. But one thing about this marker is this is very, very light by itself. This entire body is a fiber composite type of material. So weight really only becomes a factor, you know, once you start putting on your accessories and your tank. Now, I was used to the Valken M17, the VKS, which both incorporate steel. The VKS body is all steel. And of course, the M17 is a poly steel composite. So this EMF is an absolute lightweight by comparison. And that is a very good thing. Now, I am not a particular fan of this front shroud being molded into the body, right? This is all one piece here. And this is definitely its foundational speedball marker genetics on display. But then you have this, right? This front, this second removable extension, kind of like a modular type design, which, by the way, these slots All right. They may look like, M-Lock, but they are not sized for M-Lock accessories. And that's another little gripe that I have with this. So to mount your furniture on this, you either have to completely open this shroud. This comes off in halves. You either have to either completely open this in half, right? Then install your rail or whatever accessory, and then put the shroud back together. Or I decided to just file these out. Just a little bit, and it's very easy to do with this being composite, not like a metal handguard. There is an upper body kit from Inception Designs called the ID100, and it offers a more like AR type upper alongside a barrel nut, which means, I could mount all my floating handguards on this instead. Very cool. But it is a bit pricey. It's like $300 some. Now, what I am really excited about is that Modern Combat Sports just announced that they are going to be coming out with an EMF100 body kit, which is going to offer both, the handguard and the air stock applications, perhaps direct air. I don't know all the specifics yet, but I will probably be replacing all of this with a body kit once that drops. So, the rear stock adapter is Mil-Spec-ish. So, you have all of your aftermarket options to go on here like this, right? There's also a Tippmann 98 stock adapter that's included with this. Or you can also run a parallel buffer tube. I fabricated one, which gives, a more traditional aesthetic, right? Coming straight out of the back. But honestly, for gameplay, when you're wearing a paintball mask, this drop down stock attachment is much more ergonomic. Now, as you see, I do have the power stock for running HPA tanks directly off of the marker. Now, I will admit, until I actually owned one of these myself, I really didn't care for the power stock. But this is really the EMF100's trademark in a sense. Once I slapped it on and I started mocking up optics and started moving around with this definitely grew on me. And quite frankly, this is quite ingenious for running a 13. This is a 15, even with my Ninja regulator on this First Strike tank. It still fits right by the second notch, actually. And you can even run a 17 with this. The factory barrel is a 14 and a half Cocker smoothbore. Now, I also copped a 14-inch rifle barrel for running those First Strikes when allowable. But I might end up grabbing a shorter Lion Claw smoothbore for this as well. Because, again, this is primarily an assault rifle for me, right? Especially with shooting round balls. So I think I want to bring in the length just a little bit tighter. And then when I'm throwing, FSRs, that's when I like that longer style of barrel. Magazines. I am not using the factory EMF magazines in this. Instead, I went with the CF20 mags, and these things are night and day compared to the VKS mags or even the Valken hybrids. So first, they have this angled top design, which makes both loading and pouching these very, very smooth. They have this collapsing shutter. You see that, right? Which keeps your projectiles from popping out or getting damaged or getting wet or getting dirty. Now, this does use a ratchet winding system, kind of like the hybrids, but much more efficient. With the hybrids, if you don't shoot your mag like almost immediately, you're going to get dimpling, sometimes even microfractures in softer field paint, which can contribute to misloads and all kinds of chopping that doesn't happen with these CF20s. Loading is also completely more efficient with this magazine. So you begin by winding. There's a little hopper in this, and this also has an integrated hex insert, which makes for even easier winding. So I don't know if you can see that little winder going up. Okay, once you fully retract the follower, you simply unlock the magazine face and you pull this off. You load your round projectiles in, you load your first strikes in, whatever you want to do. You simply replace this, lock this up, and you're good to go. Right? No more forcing rounds into the neck, feed neck, unless you like loading them like that, then you still can, which is another beautiful thing about this magazine system. There is no feed neck. Plus, these are transparent, so I can easily check my ammo count instead of guesstimating. Now, I have done a few performance modifications to this as well. First off, I dropped in the FL three-way valve. Now, this shoots great from the factory, but an upgraded valve system takes that to a whole new level, especially coming from markers like the M17 or the VKS or even the T15. You know, understand this is essentially an EMEC. And as you know, those markers pull very light, very smooth. And this has the same, runs the same system. I put a soft tip bolt replacement on here for shooting that crappy field paint on these, or you know, the tender little tournament balls. I also dropped in a lock bolt adapter from MCS. So if a ball or say an FSR misloads or I'm out of ammunition, this basically will lock out the bolt from cycling. Thus, it prevents it from chopping that misfed round or needlessly dry firing the rifle when I'm out of ammunition, which both conserves air, right? And it also alerts me that I'm out of ammunition. Now this, as you can probably see the difference in texture, this is the 3D printed version. This is the first run. But I will be swapping this out with the molded version from MCS that they're sending out to everybody who bought the first one as soon as that arrives. So here we have the Pops ASA upgrade, which allows for manual gassing and degassing of the system. Now, again, why Valken? And I hate to keep going back to M17, but why they haven't integrated an on-off system is completely mind-boggling to me, especially with the heat core being, you know, a constant on pressure system. And especially after all of these years that the M17 has been in production. The VKS, of course, utilizes a Tiberius regulator and bolt system. The EMF, on the other hand, uses what's called a gamma core. Now, I don't know a lot about the gamma core, so I'm not going to, you know, sit here and pretend I do. But I can tell you, this is extremely smooth and it is virtually maintenance free. Super air efficient. I shoot this at around 500 PSI. I think the user manual said this could run as low as 150 PSI. And let's face it, you know, this is what Planet Eclipse does. They make great paintball markers. And now I have one. So that's really about all for now. I'm sure I will be dropping plenty of gameplay footage with this, so stay tuned. As always, stay vigilant, stay ready, and I'll holler at you in a bit.